bag number 8. Just got back from seeing the Eternals. And if nothing else, the Eternals is one of the strangest movies I've watched in a long time. So it's funny to be putting together a Home Alone Lego set while trying to process the strangeness that was the Eternals. Oh my gosh. All right. Oh, we have a hairpiece here. Okay. Grab my instructions here and we'll start building. Bag 8 certainly seems really slight. I mean, it doesn't really seem like there's a whole lot to it. But you know, it'll probably go by pretty quick then. Looks like this part of the instructions is pretty thin. I think that once we get through, at least according to the beginning of the manual, once we get through the first 10 bags, that's the whole first floor of the house, or most of it, I think. So I think that's what we're going to be aiming for tonight. We're going to be trying to go through those first 10 bags and see what happens. So it's going to be fun to have an actual full level of the house built. I'm looking forward to that. I think that'll give at least kind of a partial sense of completion for the night. So should be fun. Speaking of the Eternals, I guess there are Eternals Lego sets. So, and those look really fun. I saw some at Costco a few days ago. I think it was the giant celestial build that they have going there. So those look pretty cool. I'm not convinced that I want Eternals Lego sets yet, but I sort of do after seeing the movie. I have a lot of mixed feelings about the Eternals. Not really sure how I ended up feeling about it. I think I liked it, but I don't know. It's kind of cool right now to hate on the Eternals, so. That would be a YouTube review that would get me a tremendous amount of likes if the title was, I don't know how to feel about the Eternals. Everybody wants to see a video like that, right? Where somebody just sits there and kind of stumbles around about their feelings on something. Let's see. Oh, I see. This is like a fan. All right. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. I think I know where we're going with this. Yeah. Yep. Pretty sure this is, pretty sure this might be the fan that blows the feathers out on Harry. Pretty sure, because the placement's right, because it's on the first floor in the kitchen or whatever when he's chasing after Kevin. I think me saying the part where he's chasing after Kevin doesn't narrow down a whole lot of the scenes in the film. You know, that part. You know, where they're after that kid. Yeah, that's a lot of the movie. One big takeaway I have from seeing the Eternals earlier is that it was really, really long. Or at least it felt really, really long. And I'm not even necessarily saying that to rip on the movie. It was just a long movie. I'm not saying that that's good or bad. It's just an objective statement. It's just a really long movie. There's no crime in, I guess, being dense when it comes to a film. It's just, I don't know. I think Western audiences are kind of conditioned to expect something kind of breezy. A good example of a breezy kind of movie is Home Alone. See, I got to bring it back. And stop talking about the Eternals. Should have renamed this live stream non-spoiler Eternals discussion and Lego live stream. It's a 2-in-1. You don't get that kind of value anywhere else on YouTube. You may get better videos, but you certainly don't get that kind of value. Much better videos. With a more consistent upload schedule from people whose job, their full-time job is YouTube, which is cool. I have nothing but respect. You can make that work, you go for it. I cannot. Not that I've tried. Okay. Oh, this is cool. Guess we're making a big, like, grandfather clock that's in that room. It's the one that chimes. I think it's the one that chimes when Kevin realizes that it's time to get all the traps ready and all that after he eats his macaroni and cheese dinner from the supermarket. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just thinking crazy stuff. I just know the epic get down to business music. The John Williams music that plays at that part is intense. Well, I goofed up. I need to turn it upside down, then put those. Those are supposed to be the feet. The legs, I guess, of the thing. There we go. Much better. If I really wanted to get in the zone building this, I would have that music I was talking about playing. The dun 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 dun. I'm gonna start humming that and doing it continuously, like over the course of 2 hours, and just wait for random people to join the live stream and immediately get out when they hear that. You thought my voice was bad. You ain't heard nothing yet. I'll make your ears bleed. This bag is going to be done in no time. I barely have any pieces down here to speak of. It's going very, very quick. All right. Looks like we have a top portion of the clock here. There we go. Yeah, that's going to be for a sticker. I wasn't 100% sure, but now I know. So, of course, it's just the clock face sticker here with the Roman numerals on it. You know, you wouldn't think so, but these are the kinds of stickers that drive me absolutely nuts, because with a clock face, you really do need to have it straight. They didn't print it exactly straight, though. You can see there's a tiny little bit more white on this side. So maybe I should stop giving myself such a hard time. Even Lego struggles to get it aligned just right. Circular stickers are a killer because you're trying to make it equidistant. Equidistant? Equidistant? I have no idea which one. You're trying to make it equidistant all around. And that's not easy to do. While also trying to get the numerals lined up. Yep, this is kind of a nightmare. It's okay, though. I'm here to live stream my struggles. And out my horrible sticker skills to the whole world. I regret nothing. Except trying to do this live. I do regret that. Come on. Not quite. close. No cigar. Okay, I'm kind of getting it lined out here. It's close. I have had situations where I've thought that I was okay with the sticker placement, and then I went back later and had to redo it. There we go. I think that's all right. That's decent. Good enough. Good enough. Yeah. Yeah, you know, before I've used like tweezers, and that seems to work pretty well for me. But if I'm just like, I just hate to go to the trouble sometimes. And that's just me being impatient. It's hard to do it just with your fingers, though. I mean, especially with something small. You know, there's some people, and I wonder if you've ever done this, that use water to put on their Lego decals. And I've heard this like from some model decal tricks, or that people will apply like a pretty good little drop of water, and then they'll glide the decal over the water. And once they get it right, they press the decal down and kind of squeezes out the water from the side. And I mean, it seems like an okay idea, but I don't know. Something about using water on the decals seems a little, doesn't really seem kosher. I don't know. Something seems a little iffy there. I love this little build. This is great. I wish every Lego clock looked this nice. This is wonderful. And it just fits that great Victorian aesthetic of the McAllisters' unbelievably nice house in Home Alone. Yeah, the water slide decals. You know, I had some water slide decals one time that it was like water slide decal paper. And so I custom printed a decal. I was doing a G.I. Joe custom vehicle. And it was, believe it or not, from the 90s theme of the Eco Warriors. And so I was trying to make this mobile like support thing. And I actually managed to make it work, but it was so temperamental. It was crazy. I almost totally ruined the thing. But I was able to, you know, make it pretty decent, I thought. It's not something I'd want to try again. It was pretty unpleasant. See, one of my cats left a little hair for me there, so I had to take care of that real quick. That knocked my gold frog off the mantle. The mysterious gold frog, which I've still not got a chance to go back and actually look at any kind of reference stuff and see, is there really a gold frog sitting on the mantle in Home Alone? Or did they just use the frog piece because it kind of was a good facsimile of something that was there in the movie? I don't know, but it's really weird and not something I expected. Okay, this looks like, yeah, this is the big rug in there. And instead of decals, we're going to be using some brick built methods to get in some of the little triangles and things. Which I always like that better when you can simulate like the little mosaic effects with some of the flats. I think that's more fun. And just a little truer to the medium, I think. Oops, that's not straight. Okay. And time to do the little mosaic rug here. Looks like we got this. Okay. Looks like we're building with little mosaic tiles. Always fun. This is going to be great once the pattern is done. All the colors in the McAllister home are very warm. which is great, you know, for a Christmas movie. I wonder how much of the decor in the house was the family who lived there, because I've seen some interviews with them, and they had a lot of funny stories about the filming of it. They didn't stay there while it was being filmed. They visited, but they were put up in a hotel. I think that's actually one of the things that really works about the location in the movie, is it's obvious that, you know, what you're seeing of the house, it's a real house. It's not just a set. There's elements of the house that are a set, I suppose. But I think that's part of the magic of the setting. What you see is what you get in the movie. Nowadays, what, half of it be on a green screen or something? That way, when nowadays the elaborate traps that they would be in, they would like they'd be dropped in lava or something, or submerged in the bottom of the ocean on a green screen. Start to look like Star Wars Episode 2 after a while, which probably wouldn't be a good thing. Not that I don't love Daddy George Lucas right there, but you know. Okay, rug is done. And yeah, looks like we're doing a little bit of a kitchen setup now. So, a little table. Okay, have a gray disc. I think it's a burner, maybe. And that just sets on this. Okay. As I'm putting this together, I can just hear Uncle Frank saying, "Look what you did, you little jerk." That should be part of the price of admission for this thing, is when you get done building it, at the end, it should play a little sound, like a sound effect of, "Look what you did, you little jerk." I always thought that was so severe when I was a kid, when Uncle Frank says that, but of course, as an adult now, I realize that it's supposed to really indicate to you just what a jerk he is. That's supposed to be kind of one of the tells that he's just a total loser. All right. Okay, now we're doing the actual table setting that Kevin eats his very lonely, pitiful little Christmas dinner with his macaroni and cheese, which honestly, you know, to I think a lot of kids, that would be a feast. You know, that would probably be what they would choose: pizza and macaroni and cheese. So not a lot's changed since the 90s when it comes to food. When it comes to the plot of the film, a lot would change. You just text your parents, "Hey, I'm home alone." "Oh, okay. We'll come back then. Go talk to a neighbor." You know, it only dawns on me as an adult that Kevin even goes to that church, you know, and he's talking to the old man and all that at the church, and there's probably plenty of people that could help you that worked in the church there. Plenty of families that were around that you could talk to, but hey, that's all right. Lots of options for Kevin there to seek out some help, some assistance. And that's like on the eve of when he knows the house is going to be broken into as well. But then again, he is just a child. So it's not like he's, you know, it's not like his brain is fully developed. So that gets into more of that I can't stand, where people pick these movies apart so much. I just think it's funny. For some people, somehow it actually ruins their enjoyment of a movie when they think that they know better than the characters. Not everybody makes rational decisions all the time. I don't. Okay. So So this is the little table setting. It almost looks like a wreath. He's got, there we go, that finally snapped into there. Oh, and we get to make macaroni and cheese. This was one of my favorite stickers that I saw on the set. I could not believe that they did it. It's so funny. Once again, it's another circular sticker, but this time we don't have to worry about getting it straight because it doesn't matter which way the macaroni and cheese is going. And I think I'll take William's advice because I actually had my tweezers close by. I just didn't realize it. Yeah, they were in my little box here. All right. Should make this slightly more bearable. That way I can get a good, we can get a pretty good look at it as I place it. I have a little hair on there. It's not one thing, it's another. Okay, let's try that again. Sans hair this time. That's pretty good. All right. Yeah, looks good. As a kid, that always made me incredibly hungry for macaroni and cheese. Now, as an adult, I found out I had celiac disease, so unless it's made out of chickpeas, I'm not going to be eating macaroni and cheese. Okay, now we're going to make a couple of candlesticks. These are neat little mini builds. Very, very Christmassy. Oops. I love the simplicity of these. See, and then you're done. 3 pieces, and it's a lovely candle. This is a great little facsimile of Kevin's setup in the movie. Yeah, I'm liking that a lot. Probably not quite the size it needs to be Kevin's table for the movie, but everything, you know, about the interiors of these kind of dollhouse builds are always going to be chibi-ized, I guess. But that is okay. That's kind of the, I think there's kind of a style of its own, the builders. Yeah. Well, you know, it's harder to blame it, you know, on somebody else than my cats. They like to come and explore the basement if they can get past me to get down here. Of course, this is where I have my whole collection, and most of them are a-okay coming down here, but one of them that I have, Willow, she likes to chew on things, so that can be a challenge, as you might imagine. All right, so apparently we are making a little surface here. Need to pop out the middle of that sticker to make this burner surface. Okay. And we'll use those tweezers again. So thankfully there's, when you're doing a shape like this with kind of a little pop-up in the middle, it gives you more of a guideline for the sticker, so it can help take away some of the burden of trying to get it just right. But of course with Lego, you're always going to have that little area where that negative space, like I feel like almost no sticker in Lego ever just like goes flush. There's always, you're trying to get the negative space equal on each side, which can be a real aggravation, honestly. course, I'm sure it has everything to do with like the way the stickers are cut. And they're leaving, I guess, honestly, the reason they're doing that is because they want to leave a margin of error, especially for younger builders, so that the sticker doesn't have to be on just right and there's a little bit of give on each side. I like how shiny that is. All right, nice. Finally got it on there, right? Okay, and this just goes here. There's 4 chairs to build, and the method of building these is pretty, I think funny is the word, because, okay, you'll see why it's so funny when I get to it here. Okay, so I make the cushion for the bottom of the chair here, and we turn it over. Everything seems pretty normal so far. Have my little connectors for the legs of the chair. Whoop. And then here's where things get wild. So if you look, they use the giant like teeth, like shark teeth pieces. That is what you use for the legs of the chairs. And truthfully, I've not paid any attention to what the chairs look like in the movie. But maybe they kind of have a wild kind of look to them. Maybe they're very, very white in terms of the legs that are just kind of bowed out. And maybe they're kind of new agey. So this is what you end up with. I don't know if that, I guess we'll see once it's done if this can really like sell chair legs. I don't know. We'll see if this is actually an okay facsimile of that. So this helps things out, this little backing piece here. So let's see if that. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that works all right, I think, for a chair. Yeah, once it's set in there from a distance, yeah, you'd never know if those were teeth. Well, I guess Lego's right and I'm wrong on this one, because that works. That works. Okay. Yeah, we'll take this, get the chair over there, and now we just got to do that 3 more times. So get that on there. Now we know what we're doing. Centered more. There we go. Okay. And I'm not going to worry about getting these legs just right, because you can swivel those around and try to get them at all the exact angle, and that's if it's just good enough, it'll be fine. You'll never even hardly see the legs of these chairs. Okay. And the backing. Oops. Okay, we got us another chair going right there. They're a little slippery on that rug surface. And these last 2 will build concurrently, because that seems to make it a little less monotonous, where you just do each step one after the other. Okay, well, I'm throwing every little stud piece I've got. Oh, you can tell it's a long day. All right. Got that. The Eternals has taken my voice right out of me. Okay. Got that. Chair legs. We're going to call these the shark chairs right here. I think I've finally answered the question about what Kevin's dad does for a living. Turns out, big game hunter. Should have seen it coming. All right, got that. Okay, backing. There's another chair. And time for more shark teeth. I guess that's what you would call these, is shark teeth. I don't know. I think they use them for just about anything. It's a piece that I think all of us have handled at some point if we built any amount of Lego sets. They're always around, these teeth. Always, always. Okay. And back. And we've got it. All right, we have our table set with the chairs now. Very nice. Then I thought this was the case earlier, but I think I mistakenly thought I was building like a kitchen setup over here, and this is a record player. I wasn't 100% sure, but now that it's built, that is definitely a record player. So goofy moment for me, immortalized on film here. All right, so here we have the little mannequin head set up. And I need to grab one of those pieces I dropped. Okay. So once again, this is Kevin having those mannequins rigged up, and that's why we had that hair piece there. That's not creepy, right? Haunt your nightmares. Okay, and that will go on the top there. And what's great is that with that knob on the side, you see what's going on here? Rigged up just like there's a big party going on in the house. It's so funny. I love that action feature. It's 10 times more fun than I thought it would be, and a lot easier to deal with than I thought it would be as well. That was actually it for that bag. See, I told you that bag was slight. That bag was an absolute lightweight. Let's move on. Bag number 9. Nothing like tearing into a fresh bag of Lego. This bag, it seems like there's a little bit more action, a little bit more going on than the last one in terms of piece count. Last bag was just interior decorations. And that was it. Yep, that's exactly right. Rocking around the Christmas tree. All part of that excellent, iconic scene in the movie. And a great soundtrack. I actually think Home Alone really helped cement Rocking Around the Christmas Tree and several other Christmas songs as being big classics. Like they already were. But I think that it almost added an extra layer for 90s kids and 80s kids that kind of immortalized it a little bit further. You know, doing a new classic Christmas movie, that's a tall order to just create one. I honestly think the last truly classic Christmas movie that was made was Elf. And that's been a few years. It's just further proof that it's extremely hard to do. And it almost happens by fluke more than design. I don't know. I think it's just really hard to come out with something that's iconic. And I think the exact same thing can be said of Christmas songs. It's really difficult to have a brand new Christmas song that evokes this anywhere near the original kind of old 50s and 60s Christmas songs. I watched a video about that where they were trying to kind of pin down the reason why that's true. And they had a pretty good theory about it. I thought it was all right, where it went into a very deep discussion about how Christmas became commercialized for the very first time and was more of a secular holiday in the 50s, 40s and 50s, and to some extent the 30s as well. And that's the era that produces all of these big hit Christmas songs and things. And it's almost like once those traditions were established, once those certain songs were in kind of the cultural shorthand, it is really hard to reverse that. That kind of set Christmas's secular identity with those songs. And that's it. It's kind of just done now. So, you know, blame it on tradition, blame it on whatever, but they're here to stay. Blame it on Home Alone. Here we go. Okay. Are we building? Let me see. Maybe this is the chair. Okay. Backing on there. It's funny to see the little, you don't see them too often on Lego pieces, but I'll show you an example. The little connector points, like for the sprues in the factory. And it's funny because on these particular pieces, it's kind of prominent, like they're sort of easy to see. So I'm actually fickle enough to where I'm trying to flip the pieces around to where you don't see those, like facing forward. That's a little crazy, I know, but if they can be hidden that easily, why not just go ahead and do it now while you're in the process? I mean, there's no reason not to. I see no harm in it. So, you know, I do know that there are. Yeah, I was right. It's a chair. I do know that there are people who like try to get the Lego like words like all lined the same way, and that's where you lose me. If you start thinking like that, you will never be done with your set, and you won't have any peace about it, and it'll become a pretty miserable experience pretty quick, I would think. Okay. So next up, we're building, looks like a front of the house. So that was probably the last interior detail we have for quite a while. Okay. I think this is going to be one of the windows right here when we're done, or at least the backing for one of the windows. It always kind of bites to go from doing the fun like mini builds that are inside the house to then doing more of the technical stuff that's supposed to be like support things for like a wall. It's you kind of come off that Lego high a little bit when you're having to do that, but that's part of how the sausage is made, I'm afraid. You can't get to the other fun stuff without this. Oh yeah, thank you, Reese. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's come along nicely. I'm actually surprised by how quickly it is because I've had some of these sets that it just felt like I was going nowhere fast with it, and it gets pretty miserable. But with this, I feel like there's a real good, you know, instant kind of gratification sort of thing as you're going. Very little bit of it is monotonous, very little bit. I've always kind of fantasized about the possibility of one of these days that there could be full-sized Lego bricks and that eventually we're just building homes out of like gigantic life-size Lego bricks. We could solve all sorts of problems. You know, I've actually seen some funny like viral videos about that, where there's some companies apparently that are testing out some building systems that sort of work like that, to where you have these like prefabricated pieces that are interlocking, and you can use them to, I've seen a couple of different versions of this. One of them, you can use it to build, you know, an actual like exterior of a house or whatever. But that I think requires a few extra touches. But the one that I'm interested in is there's these like modular pieces where you change the layout of a room using them. Like you create a room divider, or you create like, basically it takes the place of drywall. And to me, that's an interesting like possibility for the future. What if we could just kind of disassemble a room layout and just reassemble it in whatever way? And that would be, I think, amazing. One of these days, maybe I can put my Lego skills to use by remodeling my house on a whim using modular pieces. So. And they said this was a useless hobby. They didn't know what they were talking about. Okay. And these are, of course, I think the mounting plates for when we get to some of those exterior details. There. Okay, looks good. All right. Looks like we're getting ready to work with my favorite Lego pieces, the little bricks. You know, the brick. I'm going to start calling these things bricks. It's funny, it's almost like I'm building a chimney. That would be if I was building the Santa's Visit set, I guess. Which is a cool looking set. Tried to get my wife for a few years to go all in on doing like a Lego Christmas village. So far, other decorations have won out, I think, in that idea. I think we've focused more on Christmas trees and ornaments. So maybe next year. That's one thing, you know, those winter villages. My mom, she always loved putting together those winter villages and would have a big diorama made, which is, I'm sure, where I get the interest in all this is Mom's Barbie collecting and, you know, winter villages and all that. That's, when you think about it, it's, you know, those are all transferable to this hobby or whatever. And I knew that was expensive, like buying those little like light up Christmas village houses, and anybody will tell you that's ever dealt with those. But it would be, I think, even more expensive to try to do a Lego Christmas village, because anybody who's ever bought Lego will tell you that they're not cheap. Not even a little bit. They're, yeah, you'll feel it when you pay for a few Lego sets, that's for sure. Okay, so this goes here. I think this is just building up the supports for the walls here. There we go. And it's time to do another one of those delightful 90s windows. These things are just a blast. I love putting them together with the tiny little sections. And of course, I love those little panes of glass, those little square panes of glass, because there's just such a great little tactile feedback that you get every time you clip one of those. See, look at that. Just that sound is spectacular. And they just fit right in. I wonder when these pieces were first introduced. The little clip-in, square, transparent little glass pieces. Because they're so cool. Just a little, you know, and a little peg up here, a little peg down there. And it's just enough to give you kind of a mounting bracket on both. So if I had one job at a factory that I could pick that I just did all day, it would be this, where you just slide in the little transparent pieces, click, and you're ready to go. Speaking of a factory where you'd build toys, maybe that's something Lego should look into, is doing like a Santa's Workshop kind of Lego set. And maybe I know that they've already did Santa's Workshop like as a minifigure build, but I'm saying a set where you're supposed to like build the toys like on a little assembly line, and there was different toys you could make and things. I'm just thinking back to my own childhood, and that sounds like something I would have liked, like pretending that I was making the toys for Santa's Workshop. That just, it seems like that really would have floated my boat. Let's see. There it is. Last little window pane. And we're just going to group all these together on the little platform that I made. Okay, here's our platform. I think there's going to be several groupings of these as we go throughout. So here we have, there's one. There's one. Got that. Looking good. And that'll go right here. So we're definitely getting into enclosing this first floor, which makes sense because bag number 10, which is coming up, is supposed to be it for this floor. So, all right, back to making the brick. It's like I'm making a Minecraft block. But you know, there's all kinds of Lego Minecraft sets. I remember when they first introduced that, and it was so huge, they sold out like everything. And you couldn't hardly find Lego Minecraft sets for a while, and that leveled out. It was kind of the same way with Lego Mario at first, and now those are everywhere. Not in a, like, they're not successful kind of way either. Like, I really think it's because retailers are ordering a dramatic number of them. You know, that's something I wish I could get into really, really heavily, is the Mario stuff. I have a little bit of it, you know, and I did a video on the first wave of stuff. But if I had it my way, you know, I would have a big course built that I would keep adding to. But you know, the Mario sets, regular Lego takes up quite a bit of space, but those Mario sets, once you're like course building and trying to connect them all together into one big world, you're talking about a massive, massive kind of time, not time, goodness, space taker. I mean, it's huge. But if anybody has the space, I guess it's a great thing. And I'm just not into like building it and then taking it apart. And I know there's plenty of people that do that, and they'll have storage bins where they've got everything sorted out and they reassemble it when they feel like it. But I just know myself, and I know that usually that means I'm just, if I put something up, I'm usually not going to get it back out. I'm way more into, like, you know, building it and then just displaying it on and on. It's very hard for me to rotate out the things that are in my display. It's either it's on display or I sell it. There's really no in between for me. At least usually not. There's a few things that I have in storage. But, you know, keep in mind, I moved like 4 years ago, and since then, I had to put some Lego sets in storage to try to move them. Well, sure enough, I would say 75% of those have not made it back out on a display, just for space limitations and want to do other things. So I think I know myself pretty well on my display habits. I may be an outlier. Most people may do something completely different. All right, we have another window made. This one is a little wider. And you just got to put some more of those connectors on the top. I'm sure that will be to mount some other aesthetic touches to those. Get them looking nice and Victorian, I'm sure. Okay. And I think this will just set here. All right. We're now making the little joint in the brick that the house opens up with, because we're going to be able to open up each side of it to access the features. And of course, we have our hinged little piece here. We know how that works. Okay. You know, I'm starting to run out of pieces in this bag, so this bag has turned out not to take very long either, because we're going through real swiftly. Once again, compliments to the designers, because this hasn't felt like much of a lift. It's just going by very quickly, very steadily. And this may be something that's only true of me and my Lego habits, but one of my main reasons I think that I do live streaming with Lego sets, I don't really do live streaming with anything else on this channel, is because it keeps me kind of accountable to a schedule of just breaking it down, to where I used to get into some really aggravating habits with this, to where it would be like I would try to marathon as hard as I could and it just become really frustrating. And if you're not careful, you rob yourself of any kind of enjoyment when you do that, when you're just marathoning through. So this way, I can break it down and actually appreciate and enjoy what I'm doing. Because that's, as I get older, the more I realize that especially these adult named sets like this, the 18 plus sets, that they're kind of selling you the process just as much as they are the product. And for me, it used to just be exclusively about the product. It was, what's the finished product. Well, yeah, believe it or not, usually I don't do much. Usually I don't do much in terms of movie reviews, but with the Eternals, I really think it's interesting enough for me to actually do a full-on review for the thing, because I've still not processed it because it's so out there. But it's one of those things where my thoughts are so, it's almost incomprehensible to try to describe your individual thoughts on, I don't know. It's bouncing all around in my head. I can't even form sentences about it. It is truly something else. So yeah, I definitely feel like doing one of those. I may try to get that in the can tomorrow. Take a Sunday to reflect on what I have seen on the Eternals, and my oh my, it was an experience. I will say this, I don't regret having seen it in the theater, and that's something I talked to Brandon about, the other guy on the channel. I talked to him, and we both agreed that it's definitely something we would have wanted to say that we saw in the theater, because it's truly unlike anything else. It's going to be a wild memory one of these days to be like, you remember seeing the Eternals in theaters? Oh, look at this. That's a master builder move right there. Look at that. I think that's called an illegal building practice right there. Yeah, that's not going to work. I clearly did something very wrong right there. Okay. Gotta measure these out, make sure I'm using the right one. So these are all the same. Yep, that's the same. All right. So I believe what I've done is I've accidentally given a little too much height to this somehow or another. Yeah, I goofed that up just a little bit. I think what I did was I put part of this on backwards. Yeah, I believe that's it. Okay. There we go. And then I added one too many of the little brown separators, so that gave it an unnecessary height boost, which is why you were seeing that beautiful master builder technique earlier when it didn't line up at all. I got carried away by the holiday spirit, the John Hughes holiday spirit of Home Alone, and made an error. There we go. All better. So now, fantastic. A bit of an improvement there from what we did earlier. It's okay, we'll never speak of it again. We'll just act like it didn't happen. We'll keep moving. All right. Okay, got our studs on. But yeah, I do. I don't know. I do end up. I sort of want at least a couple of those Eternals Lego sets now. So, if nothing else, I got sold on some Lego sets. Maybe. I sort of do want the giant celestial Lego set. I think that would be pretty nice. Because that is just a cool looking build. No matter how you end up feeling about the movie, really. Okay, this one goes back here. All right. All right, now we're layering the top with some studs. Just making sure I'm not goofing up on some of these because they're the angle that the instructions are at. It's really easy to mess up on which ones of these I'm using. Yeah, I had some people in front of me in particular who clearly knew a lot more about the Eternals comics than I did, and they absolutely lost it with one of those end credit scenes. Now, the last one, I was a little more familiar with things happening in the last end credit scene than I was in the middle end credit scene. But the last one, yeah, some fun stuff going on there. And it's a beautiful movie, like you said. The location shooting and just gorgeous. No matter how you end up feeling about the movie, it's just objectively beautiful. And it was really long, but I felt like it was a pretty good. I never felt bored. It was just long, and it's not something to tear the movie apart or anything. It just, I don't know. It just has that kind of grand kind of feel to it. I'm still trying to process how the movie was assembled. It was cut together in the strangest way with all sorts of flashbacks and then back to the present day, and it's just a lot of, I don't know. I had a good time. I was freaked out, kind of, but I had a good time. I felt like I was in some kind of alternate reality watching the movie. That feeling kind of continued, too, as I left the theater. And just in case anybody's curious, I'm talking about Home Alone 3. No, I'm certainly not. Oh, Home Alone 3. God forgive them. They know not what they did. And who knows, maybe people who grew up with Home Alone 3 love Home Alone 3. And that's okay. I wonder if grown-ups in the 90s were really irritated by Home Alone. Maybe they thought it was the stupidest thing. My parents liked it a lot, though. I mean, it was a big part of our holiday festivities. So, for the amount of money that Home Alone made in 1990, somebody must have liked it pretty well. So, did you all see where they're doing the new version of Rocky IV, Rocky versus Drago? I'm very, very excited about this, and I have my tickets ready for the one night only showing that they're doing here in a few days. Of course, it's going to be out on digital, and you'll be able to buy the Blu-ray or whatever. But for me, it was a chance to not only get to see this new version of Rocky IV, a movie which I really do think is in desperate need of some adjustment, but it was also a way for me to see Rocky IV in theaters, which is something I've never really had the chance to do. So here's hoping this new director's cut is worthwhile and a big improvement on the original. And everybody loves the original for camp, kind of reasons and, all the iconography of the movie. But the truth is, it isn't as much of a legitimate movie experience as the first three. So I'd be curious to see if this director's cut can really bring it like up to par with, say, like a Rocky 3. I doubt it, but I would love to see them try and, to make some adjustments to, take that kind of goofiness off of Rocky 4 a little bit. There's just so much. I know for sure that Polly's robot that he gets or that he gives, I don't remember. I know that that's not in the movie. Oh, Polly's robot. I do think there's something good there in Rocky IV. I really do. I've always enjoyed the movie, but yeah, he had to have been. You know, I kind of wonder if that was one of those situations where it was more of like a in name only, and maybe it was more of a, I'm going to make some money off of this, and, you know, you can use my name, just get something, you know, on there. I don't know. And I know that Home Alone 2 was made for economic reasons, and that's fine because Home Alone 2 is great. But there's something slimy feeling about Home Alone 3. That not only was it made for the money, but it was made with ill intent. Interestingly enough, the guy who played the Shredder in the first Ninja Turtles movie is the main like mob boss villain in Home Alone 3. I think his name is James Sato, I think. And I bet the casting process for him was like this. Hey, weren't you the Shredder in Ninja Turtles? You'll be the perfect kids movie villain to appear in one scene. I think that was the casting process. I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that that was it. Kids loved you in their Turtles movie. All right, so we have a picture of a building, and is this the Empire State Building or something? All right. And I have no idea if there's a big picture of the Empire State Building or whatever it is in the actual movie. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend that I know what their wall art looks like in Home Alone. I'm a big fan, but I hate it on YouTube where somebody's like trying to pretend like, oh, I remember this, and they don't remember it. All right. I think people have lost patience with that trend when somebody tries to act like they're an Uber fan and they know more about something than they really do. It's just embarrassing. People always get cut down to size on that stuff too. They always end up tripping up or saying something stupid. I don't need any help with that. I can do that just fine on my own. All right. Oh, this is cool. We're going to be doing some brick-built Garland here, and we don't mean Judy Garland. Dun, 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 dun. All right. So the way it works is you're just going to take this, and you're going to alternate red, we're going to say they're poinsettias, and these little dots here. And this should be a pretty neat effect. We're just kind of going to put it on the side there. I love this kind of micro building stuff where you're giving the impression of detail, even though it's not fully formed. I think that's its own art form within Lego set design, is when you're giving the impression of great detail. It's Lego sets, you know, like this, I think they're appreciated up close, but the illusion is at a distance. Oh yeah, see, that's nice. I love that, love it, love it, love it. That's nice. Okay. And I love how once we get this on here, this will be, all the detail will be retained for the interior wall, and that it isn't just, you know, this bare wall and you have this ornate kind of front piece. Okay, so we're gonna join this along the side, and boy howdy, that looks good. Look at that. That is lovely. That is nice. We have a little gappage here to take care of eventually, which may be happening very soon. All right. Put this guy off to the side. We only have a few pieces left in this bag, and then we'll be on to the final bag of the night. And that should complete this first level. looks like we're getting ready for the modular kind of areas, so that this will be easy to take off the roof portion. Or not roof portion, but I guess the next floor, where it'll be easy to kind of peek in and remove that first floor. Okay, got that joined up. This is interesting. I'm not exactly sure what we're building here with a little white piece. Maybe it's just a little flourish of some sort. Guess we'll know soon enough. Ah, I see. So it looks like this is where we're going to mount a little wreath. So that's what that was all about. Okay, got it. All right, and that solves the problem I was talking about just then with the big hole in the brick here. Just put that in, and it works as a support beam for the house right there. As you can see, you have the wreath going, so it works very nicely to fill in some of that gappage. All right. We have more of those little flats for when this is eventually kind of modular as you lift off the top. They've gotten so much better at that in the past few years. There's things like the Ghostbusters firehouse from years ago, to where that really hadn't been perfected just yet. So you would try to like remove stuff, and the floor was kind of bowing, and the roof was kind of all over the place. So I'm glad that they have a much better handle on that. Of course, the Ghostbusters firehouse was just massive, just unruly when it comes to being able to even support its own weight. So I think they can be forgiven for having a little bit of growing pains right there, especially because that was a Lego idea. Well, no, it actually wasn't. It was the Ecto-1 that was the idea set. That's right. I remember they were mad. The person who did the Ecto-1 was angry because apparently they had designed a Ghostbusters firehouse for ideas, and yeah, it didn't get selected, but apparently they felt that it was similar enough to where they felt that they should have been credited for the firehouse, but I don't agree with that. I've seen it. Okay, last bag of the night. We have bag number 10 here. This should be the other front section of the house on the other side. And this will complete our first floor. So this looks like roughly the exact same kind of setup as the other side. Looks like a few extra flourishes for the interior, so that'll be interesting to see. There's only one way to find out. And I always just put them into piles according to the bags, like the little mini bags inside the bigger bags. So this is your main bag, and these are your two little piles for the smaller bags. And that seems to work best for me. So at least that's what I do. I think everybody has a different little system. Some people sort them by color, but I don't know. Tried that for a while. I tried to be like the cool kids and sort by color, but then I started discovering that it was actually adding a bunch of time to the build. So I didn't want to be cool anymore. I just decided to just wing it like I usually did. Seemed to work out. Okay, get these. This particular, they're dark brown Lego pieces, have the exact same color to me as a Hershey's chocolate bar. There's a very particular type of brown, and that's what it is. See, now there's an untapped market. Give me edible Lego. And yeah, it's true that they have like non-licensed Lego that's like gummy, and you can put them together, whatever. But I'm talking about licensed, real deal Lego that is made out of some kind of really firm chocolate that you can put together and then you can eat it when you're done. Come on, Lego. I'm not going to say it's $1 million idea. I'm going to say it's $1,000 idea. You could definitely make 1,000 American dollars from that idea. Don't act like that it's not, because it is. It's a wonderfully $1,000 idea. Oh, need a longer one. Okay. Of course, this is the start of that kind of support wall that's going to be on the front. Right. Take one of the square studs and fill that in. You know, I'll tell you, the last movie I ever saw, the guy who played Mr. McAllister, Kevin's dad in the movie, whatever you want to call him, the last movie I saw him in was Sharknado. It really was. That was the last one that I saw him in. He passed away a few years ago now. I guess it was a couple years ago, maybe. That actor passed away. I think that was the last thing I saw him in. It was really random. He just shown up. I think he was in a bar in a Hawaiian shirt and was one of the bit players in the movie, one of the supporting characters. I saw Sharknado in the theater because of the Riff Tracks guys. You know, the Mystery Science Theater 3000 guys. They the originals. They did those like limited, you know, like one night only, like or 2 night only, whatever they were. Screenings of doing like live Riff Tracks, and they did Sharknado one year, and I think they did Sharknado 2 as well. It's also how I saw the 1998 Godzilla movie, the one with Matthew Broderick. That's how I got to see it in a theater. It was a few years ago. The Riff Tracks guys got the license to do it, and I skipped out on seeing it when I was a kid in the theater. So yeah, thanks to the magic of Riff Tracks, I could see the 1998 Godzilla movie. It wasn't a good movie. It was pretty bad. But there's some, I don't know, maybe fun is a strong word. There's some fun things about the 98 Godzilla movie. And looking back, you know, with a 2020 vision, you know, just looking in hindsight, I can say that the Godzilla design isn't horrible. It's not a good Godzilla design. I mean, that's for sure, but it's an interesting creature design, I guess, is what I would say. Of course, it'll break your heart to look at the actual maquette for the Stan Winston Studios maquette, the design that they had going for Godzilla before Roland Emmerich and those guys like had to have it their way about the design. It's heartbreaking to see how good that design looked. But you know what? It probably would have been in service of a horrible movie. So it's probably just as well that they were able to do something so offbeat, because that kind of just, you know, makes it its own thing. And probably ended up being better for Godzilla as a character, that it didn't look anything like, well, not much anyway, like the original. I was pretty disappointed as a kid, though, because I loved original real deal Godzilla, and when they revealed that, I was not happy. And their audience, the people they really should have been trying to appeal to, was me. I was 11 years old, and I think that that was exactly your target audience that you want to be interested in a Godzilla movie at that time, and they didn't do it. So the Taco Bell promotional stuff was pretty good for a 98 Godzilla. That, I actually did collect some of that as a kid. I thought that was pretty cool. And I don't know if some of you all had the same experience or what, but for me, the way that I first saw the Godzilla design in, I guess, the end of 97 or the beginning of 98, I guess it was the beginning of 98, was I saw the toys out on the shelf for the movie. That is the actual first way that I ever saw the design for Godzilla, because they had a teaser trailer. You may remember this, where it's like they're in a museum and it's really goofy, and Godzilla's foot just stomps on the Tyrannosaurus Rex fossil. It's completely campy as all get out, which should have told us everything we needed to know about the movie. But yeah, the toys, that's what revealed the design. I was very upset. I remember being pretty angry. Speaking of goofy trailers, I don't know if you guys remember this, but the original teaser trailer for the live-action Scooby-Doo movie, that teaser trailer, and if you've not seen it, you need to look it up. I promise it's worth your time, is a fake-out trailer designed to make you think it is a new Batman movie. Does anybody else remember this? That Scooby-Doo pops up, and it's the Batman silhouette, and the narrator is making you think it's a new Batman movie. And it even, and it has the Warner Brothers logo and all that, of course. And for as much as I was looking forward to live-action Scooby-Doo as a kid, that trailer infuriated me. Because I remember being in the theater and seeing it and thinking, oh, Lord, it's happening. And it was not happening. As much as I wanted to see live-action Scooby-Doo, I wanted a new live-action Batman movie even more. So, yeah, not good. Not good. I can't be the only one that remembers that. I was so frustrated. Of course, keep in mind, this was the time when it was like early internet days. And I remember going to the Warner Brothers studio store. And I remember some of the employees updating people on rumors for Batman 5. Because, the last movie at that point had been Batman and Robin, which had been a big letdown. It wasn't a bomb or anything, but it was a big letdown for the studio financially. And, of course, critically, it was a four-alarm disaster. And I remember the clerk at Warner Brothers Studio Store in Knoxville in Tennessee talking about the rumors that he was seeing online for the new Batman movie. And at that time, it was the Scarecrow was supposed to be the villain of the film, which, it's kind of funny, but the Scarecrow did end up being one of the major villains for Batman Begins, which would end up being the next Batman film. So it's funny, it kind of has a cyclical nature. I remember there were two names that I was reading about in like Wizard magazine at that time of who might be playing the Scarecrow. One of them was Nicolas Cage, that he was a big name to possibly play the Scarecrow. But the other one was Jeff Goldblum. And Nicolas Cage as Scarecrow, that would have been cool. Okay, yeah, sure. I would love to have seen what kind of weird stuff he would have done. But I really would have wanted to have seen the Jeff Goldblum Scarecrow. And keep in mind, he was riding high off Jurassic Park Lost World. And so it's that version of Jeff Goldblum, which is a very specific Goldblum, by the way. Lost World Goldblum is the Lost Goldblum. Because it's a very brief period of time in Jeff Goldblum's life when he doesn't even, I can't be the only one that's ever thought this. He doesn't exactly look like the same person in The Lost World as he does in the original Jurassic Park. I have no idea what makes that, but he seems very much like a different person to me, like physically. Like acting-wise, yeah, sure, it's the same guy, but even as a kid, I was kind of like, okay, this is sort of weird. Of course, I didn't actually get to see The Lost World in theaters. That was also a part of that time period where I wasn't seeing as much of the stuff in theaters, so I missed that and Godzilla at that time, which I'm sad about missing The Lost World, but not so sad about missing Godzilla at that time. I still love The Lost World. Great movie. I mean, sure, it's not the original, but I don't think it's that far from the original. You know, they didn't get everything right about The Lost World, but something they did get right was tone. I think the tone was right on. And Malcolm is, of course, my favorite of the three leads from the first movie, so I think that was the right call, and probably informed more by Michael Crichton's book, which, if you've read the original Jurassic Park books, then you would know that Malcolm very, very clearly, like definitely dies in the original book. So some people say that Michael Crichton was making like some kind of meta statement on sequels by like resurrecting Malcolm. I remember reading in the book years later, and it's all just completely brushed off about Malcolm dying in the first book. And it's like, oh, it's just miracles of modern medicine. He wasn't dead after all, and it's not at all like Michael Crichton's usual style of writing. That is not something that would have happened unless it had some kind of like super scientific explanation. Just like John Hughes, Michael Crichton is another great storytelling master that left us far too soon. All right, another brick block built there. And it's time to build another one of those big blocks of windows. And this will be the last window we put together, I guess, for the bottom floor. It's a mega window. Look at that. There's enough panes of glass there to have zero privacy in your own home. None. That's what the windows of the 90s were all about. Privacy? Pfft, who needs it? Give me windows or give me death. And at that time, it could have meant, like Windows 95. What was the other one? Windows 3.1? Stick that right there. Okay, once again, time to build another one of those little corners here. Always love a good hinged corner in my Lego sets. I'll tell you what really bites is when you're building a Lego set and the hinge, and this has happened to me on multiple smaller sets. There's some element of it that's supposed to be hinged that you're supposed to be able to open, and you put it together, and when you try to do it, the hinge assembly just like falls apart, and you realize then that Lego has cheaped out on the amount of pieces that they needed to make that particular feature work. It doesn't happen often. I've had it happen a few times. It's extremely unpleasant as you're trying to hinge something open and the whole assembly just goes to bits. And that's when it needed a little more oomph. A little more something to keep it together. Apparently, there are people who glue their Lego sets together. I'm gonna do a Jerry Seinfeld. Here, have you heard about this? Have you seen this? Apparently there are. I don't know what the science of that would be though, because I've worked with super glue a lot over the years, customizing and fixing things, you know, on figures. And I know that that stuff gets everywhere. And that unless you're using the most minuscule amount of it, it just drains and is really hard to control. I know the gel kind is a little more, the gel applicator is a little more controllable. But goodness, I couldn't imagine just a little bit of that draining through all the crevices between Lego bricks. And I could just, and it leaves a residue when it dries, like a really like white kind of crusty residue. And I just think it's a recipe for disaster. So no, I don't get it about gluing Legos. I would understand if it was a model kit or something. It always made me cringe in the Lego movie when Lord Business, well, not exactly Lord Business, but Will Ferrell's character, the dad. I think it shows him gluing some sets at one point, and I'm like, ugh, like, don't do that. That's not okay. All right, we have our joint there. Okay, great. All right, and here's the step that gave me all kinds of trouble earlier when I added one too many pieces to that level. So looks like we're having a little bit better luck this time. A little bit better. Traded in that problem for a different one because I think, did I do that wrong? Maybe that's supposed to be at the same level. Let me just double check, make sure I didn't mess up. All right, so I think I might have needed just another little piece down here to boost this up slightly. Let me fix that real quick. Yeah, just missed a little piece there. Can't believe I was able to get that far without realizing that. Okay. That's better. And that fixes that. to our mounting plates. It's going to be at the top. One there, one on the back. All right, so line these up right here. We are almost done. Only a few pieces left. Okay. I wonder how long it will be until we see another Lego film of some sort in theaters. You know, I think last I checked, Universal had made the deal with the Lego company that they were going to be taking over any kind of future development or anything for different Lego movies, but I don't know if there's really been much movement on any of that. If there is, then I've not seen anything about it. Maybe I missed it. That, I don't know. Universal, they kind of fluctuate. Sometimes they're in a good place and sometimes they're not. I mean, then again, they could probably keep the doors open just based on Jurassic World and Fast and the Furious alone, so maybe they don't really need much else to work for them. It's a shame to see the Lego movies kind of get so big and then fall apart shortly thereafter. I'll always say that they rushed to try to get a sequel made to the Lego movie, and that was probably not the best idea. They probably should have let that kind of simmer for a little while because it did not work out. And it's ruined the chance for other original kind of Lego properties to get their own movie, so I hate that. I think the Lego Ninjago movie was I think that was the final killer. Because that actually did just flat out bomb. It wasn't just an underperformance. It was an actual bomb. Okay, got that together. Earlier I didn't really say much about it, but these are the shutters. And I absolutely love the method for making these shutters. It just really works. You can see in the light here how convincing they are when you look at kind of the textural detail when you've got all of these little vent pieces, because that's all they're doing. They're just taking vent pieces and just putting them on studs, and it works. It works really well. And I remember seeing pictures of the set initially, and I couldn't really tell what they were doing to get that effect, and it's the simplest thing in the world. I'm not much of a mock builder or anything. You know, there's plenty of people who do their own custom creations. But what I like is on the Lego Ideas sets especially, I always feel like that I am learning some kind of new trick or something so that I can, if I did want to build some of my own stuff, I could utilize whatever I learned from that particular set. Apparently, there's some really, really advanced building stuff in the some of the Lego Monkey Kid sets that I don't have just yet. I have some of them, but apparently there's some really next level stuff on like the giant Monkey King mech. So that's cool anyway. That kind of is something interesting. All right, so just like the other wall, this is going to have a picture on it. But this time, instead of something like the Empire State Building or a skyscraper, we actually have the Eiffel Tower. So I guess this is a reference to the French vacation that they're taking. Like I said earlier, I don't have a clue if this was in the house or not. Maybe it was. We're going to say it was. But if it wasn't, this is just, you know, Lego's fun little nod to the vacation and where they're going. So it's all in good fun. I do not think perfect accuracy is necessary for a set like this. I think the main thing is more important than accuracy. You know, is there variety? Is there a good smattering of detail like throughout? I think that's more important than the accuracy, I would say. But that's just me. Everybody's looking for something different in these sets. For me, that's king. Is it good on its own terms? It does not have to be perfect. You know, I wonder how licensing for a set like this works, because when you think about it, not only is this a set based on a movie, but it's also a set based on an actual real house that somebody lives in, like right now, because they did sell it a couple of years ago. Well, maybe more than a couple, but 3 or 4 years ago, the house went up for auction, and I think it was the same family still living there that had been living there all this time. So I don't suppose, I'm sure that in the rights to the movie that the house is just in there as a location. But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe there is something that you have to do in terms of like securing the rights to the house, the likeness of the house. It's kind of like how sometimes toy companies, it's not enough to have the license to like a movie. You have to get the license to a likeness if it's not included. And I doubt it's like that for a house. But then again, there are certain buildings that are copyrighted. You know, the actual structure is copyrighted. And I remember Sony getting in some trouble with that on, I think, the first Spider-Man or the second Spider-Man movie. That there was people who said that they couldn't use their New York City buildings because they were copyrighted material. Which is a bunch of bull. If you have a movie set in New York, then I would imagine you would want to represent the skyline correctly and have the right buildings in there. So that was just somebody trying to make a quick buck off of Sony is what that was. Just a bunch of foolishness. Everybody wants a piece of the pie, I guess. When you're looking at the early 2000s, Spider-Man was I guess that was about the biggest pie you could possibly get a piece of. And maybe it's about to be again with Spider-Man No Way Home. That's going to be a whole new thing. All right, so we've got this. Once again, this is the Garland that's supposed to be decorating the house. And I just love it. That is just so great for a little mini build. I think it kind of tells you everything you would need to know about the holiday decorations there. And then we just have this funny just wall panel, I think. I don't think it's supposed to be anything more than that. So we'll go ahead and connect that, and we're going to start having a much more complete looking home on the first level, which is really exciting. All right, we've got it in. Look at that. Now we're starting to see. If we just keep the camera down here, you'll think it's done. See, there we go. There's the truth of the matter right there. That's okay. All right, so now all we have to do is just do the little support piece that fills in that funny little gap there on the side, and I think that'll be it for the night. So let's get it done. Let's finish strong. You know, as if I'm running a marathon or something. Finish strong. You can do it. There it is. Okay. That. And once again, these are just the kind of small connections that we'll be able to create kind of a modular slide off top from. Okay. Got that. And of course, this is, once again, the little support where it looks like we're going to have another wreath hung up. Now, I'm not really sure about that, if in the movie there's like these little kind of crown molding pieces where they have wreaths hung up through the house. I mean, maybe. Either way, it's a neat little thing. If it's just something extra that they added to make it more Christmassy, then that's cool too. I'm all about it. Okay. So that goes in. Pop the poinsettia. Okay, all right. And just like the other, that will just go in to the side and fill in that gap nicely. Here we go. Okay, got that. Now it's just a matter of covering those little spots, and we'll be all wrapped up. I think that does it for the bag. Let's see. Yep, that does it for that. So let's go ahead, and now that we have it, let's see how this opens up. Oh yeah, that actually works really well. Let's see it from the front here. Let's see, does this one, is it quite as smooth? Yes. Yes, yes. Very nice. See, I love that these just come out. You can kind of just have them hanging out, because then you kind of get a flavor of a little bit more of like the side of the house. It even increases kind of the feel of the size of the whole thing. And then technically you could, yeah, you could open the door too. And so it really opens everything up. Okay, and let's, yeah, rocking around the Christmas tree going here. Oh man, this is great. This is great. I've owned a lot of different kind of dollhouse kind of builds that Lego has done. And this is nice. And of course, you know, it's all thanks to that original Lego Ideas submission. Of course, there's things like this that Lego added, the OK plumbing and heating van. So it's just wonderful. I love how the first level has come together. There's a lot to live up to for the next levels because this has just been a blast doing this first level. And hopefully we'll be able to continue really soon. Of course, I want to thank everybody who stuck with me throughout the stream and commented and enjoyed your company and had a great time chatting. So God bless you and yours. And of course, I'll see you on Fanboys Forever. Be sure to look out for the next video. Take care. God bless. Bye.